In 1984, members of an Oregon commune deliberately contaminated 10 restaurant salad bars with Salmonella bacteria. 751 people fell ill. It remains the largest biological terror attack in American history. The group was called the Rajneeshis. Their leader was Bhagwan Shree Rajneesh, a charismatic Indian philosopher who built a city in the Oregon desert. His personal secretary, Anand Sheela, ran daily operations with the precision of an intelligence operative. The commune had its own police force, its own airstrip, and an arsenal of weapons. When local elections threatened their political control, Sheela ordered the poisoning. The goal was to incapacitate voters and swing the county commission. Members also wiretapped the Bhagwan's own bedroom. They plotted the assassination of a United States attorney. When the FBI closed in, Bhagwan Rajneesh himself went to the authorities and blamed Sheela for everything. She served less than 3 years in federal prison. He was deported. The city was abandoned. This was episode 19. In 1981, a convoy of vehicles entered a 64,000-acre ranch in the high desert of Wasco County, Oregon, and began construction on a city. Within 3 years, Rajneeshpuram had its own zip code, its own buses, its own airstrip, its own dam, its own fire department, and a population of approximately 2,000 permanent residents, with tens of thousands more arriving for annual festivals. It was, by any reasonable definition, a functioning municipality. Its citizens were followers of Bhagwan Shree Rajneesh, an Indian philosopher and spiritual teacher who had built a massive following through a philosophy that blended Eastern spirituality, Western psychology, and a radical rejection of conventional religion and social structure. Rajneesh was not a conventional guru in the ascetic tradition. He collected Rolls-Royce automobiles. He wore elaborate robes and a jeweled watch. He gave daily discourses from a throne-like chair and passed through crowds of devotees who described the experience of his presence as physically overwhelming. His followers wore shades of red and orange. They were called sannyasins. The move to Oregon from Rajneesh's ashram in Pune, India, was organized and executed by Anand Sheela, born Sheela Silverman, who served as the Bhagwan's personal secretary and the commune's administrative director. Sheela was not a spiritual figure. She was a manager. She operated Rajneeshpuram with the organizational discipline of a corporate executive and the authority of someone who claimed to speak for a divine channel. When she spoke, she said she was relaying the Bhagwan's wishes. The Bhagwan rarely contradicted her publicly. This dynamic created a specific power structure. Rajneesh provided the theological legitimacy, the gravitational force that drew followers. Sheela controlled the operational machinery, the finances, the decisions, the daily exercise of authority. Followers who questioned Sheela's directives were told, implicitly or explicitly, that they were questioning the Bhagwan. The Wasco County elections of 1984 were the pressure point that broke the structure open. Rajneeshpuram had incorporated as a municipality, but its relationship with the surrounding county was hostile. Local residents viewed the commune with deep suspicion. Local officials were resistant to the commune's expansion. The commune needed to control the county commission. Sheila's plan was to register enough commune members to swing local elections. When that appeared insufficient, she ordered a second operation: sicken enough non-Rajneeshi voters in the Dalles, the county seat, to reduce turnout on election day. Commune members trained in a covert laboratory that Sheela had established on the property cultured Salmonella typhimurium and deployed it across the salad bars of 10 restaurants. 751 people became ill. 45 were hospitalized. At the time, health officials attributed the outbreak to food handling errors. It was not until a year later, after Sheela had fled and the FBI had raided the compound, that the deliberate nature of the poisoning was confirmed. The commune's intelligence and security apparatus was extensive. Sheela had organized a covert unit that wiretapped phones throughout the compound, including, remarkably, the Bhagwan's own bedroom and private quarters. She had assembled a hit list that included the United States Attorney for Oregon, Charles Turner, and had plotted his assassination. The plot was never executed. She had also stockpiled weapons, organized a private security force, and developed contingency plans for what she called defensive operations if the commune came under external attack. When the FBI began closing in, Sheela and several close associates fled to Europe in September 1985. What followed was one of the more extraordinary moments in the history of American cult dynamics. Bhagwan Rajneesh, whose name sanctified every operation Sheela had run, whose teachings provided the framework that kept 2,000 people compliant in a compound in the Oregon desert, called a press conference and denounced Sheela as a criminal. He invited investigators onto the property. He characterized Sheila's operation as a rogue action carried out without his knowledge or approval. Rajneesh was subsequently arrested attempting to flee the country by private jet. He pleaded guilty to immigration violations, was fined, and was deported. He died in India in 1990. Sheela was extradited, pleaded guilty to assault, attempted murder, wiretapping, and the Oregon poisonings, and was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. She was released after less than 3 years. Rajneeshpuram was dismantled. The property was sold. The Bhagwan's followers eventually regrouped under the name Osho International, continuing to distribute his teachings. The Bioterror attack, the largest in American history, was not committed by a foreign state actor or an ideologically radicalized cell. It was committed by the administrative staff of a legally incorporated Oregon municipality in service of a county commissioner election. That specificity matters. The Rajneeshi operation was not driven by apocalyptic theology or cosmic grievance. It was driven by something more ordinary: the desire to maintain institutional control, combined with an organizational structure in which no one with the authority to stop it had the independence to say no. This was episode 19 of the Mind Control Archives.